upcoming full moon in the fire sign of Sagittarius offers us the opportunity to seek adventure and face our fears. Hi, I'm Megan, Sagittarius rising, and here with some practical and actionable astrology tips to help you work with the energy of this full moon. Please subscribe and let us get into the video. This upcoming full moon in the sign of Sagittarius is going to be occurring Saturday, June 3rd at 11:42 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can do your workings for this full moon about a day or two on either side of that full moon and still feel that energy. So why work with the moon? The full moon is the energetic peak of the lunar cycle that begins with the new moon. So the full moon is a peak as well as a release of energy. The full moon is a very energetically charged time, with the moon being full and bright in the sky. We might be inspired to go out, to see things, to do things that we wouldn't normally do. So by working with the full moon, we can use that energy that is already there to level up our lives in a very intentional way. Sagittarius is a mutable sign, and mutable signs are at the end of their season and act as a transition into the next season. Mutable signs are very flexible and adaptable and can be a little bit all over the place almost. Sagittarius is also a fire sign and carries that fiery energy into this full moon. In Greek mythology, Sagittarius is associated with the centaur Chiron, who trained the Greek hero Achilles. As Chiron was the teacher, the sign Sagittarius is very much associated with the quest for knowledge, the desire for travel and adventure. Sagittarius's glyph is the arrow. So when you think Sagittarius energy, it is very much the traveler with a quiver on their back. They're ready to go, they're ready to explore, they're down for everything more or less. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, which in astrology is the planet of luck and expansion. They might be the people who always have opportunities land in their lap. They just seem lucky. They seem like they have it all going for them. This full moon is known in indigenous cultures as the strawberry moon because it is associated with the time of the year where strawberries begin to be harvested. Sagittarius is that centaur, adventurer, explorer. It rules the 9th house of travel, philosophy, scholarly endeavors, and spirituality. Again, bringing it back to that mythological legend of the healer Chiron. For this full moon, check to see what's in your 9th house and see if you're aligning with the higher or lower energy of that sign. And that brings us to our section on shadow work. The shadow self is a concept created by the psychiatrist Carl Jung, and basically the shadow are parts of the personality that we repress and hide, maybe due to past traumas, or maybe we don't think will fit into society if we reveal these parts of ourselves. So the full moon acts to illuminate and sort of highlight those shadows, and it gives us an opportunity to learn them and then work on them by realizing them. Every full moon is an opportunity to recalibrate and see if we're resonating with the higher or lower vibration that the full moon is in. Everyone has aspects of all 12 zodiac signs within ourselves, and at any given point we are all resonating with either the higher or lower vibration of that sign. I bet you would be hard pressed to find someone who is resonating in the highest vibration of every sign. By highlighting the negatives of Sagittarius, I am not saying they are bad or every Sagittarius is like this. These are just working points. Check-in points, and be realistic with yourself. Are you really being a little bit of a know-it-all? Could you maybe expand and open your mind? On the high side, Sagittarius is ready for anything on their quest for knowledge. They're ready to take that leap of faith. They're ready to go on that trip without really a plan. Sagittarius, in its highest vibration, is down. They're ready to absorb, and they aren't afraid if something goes wrong. On the low side, Sagittarius can lose that inherent faith that everything will be okay. They might become a little bit closed-minded, a little bit of a know-it-all, and not really seeking that information to expand, but rather closing in and saying, I'm right, you're wrong. Sagittarius energy might be limiting itself and using fear to stop itself from making any big changes or going on any adventures. They might get stuck in a loop of thinking without really doing, without taking that action forward, maybe out of fear. So this full moon, check to see if you are resonating with the higher, more adventurous, brave, courageous, knowledge-seeking side of Sagittarius, or if you are resonating with the more closed-in, fearful, judgy side of Sagittarius. Some rituals for this full moon in Sagittarius, and a ritual is defined as a sequence of activities involving gestures, words, actions, or objects. These are not necessarily ceremonial rituals, but intentional activities that you can use to live in the higher side of Sagittarius. So ritual number 1 is to try a form of adventurous movement. Every full moon, I highly recommend doing some sort of physical workout, exercise, dancing, whatever it may be, because full moons are such a time of high energy that if you don't move that around in your body, you're gonna find yourself getting frustrated and kind of feeling a little aimless, especially as this is in a mutable sign. You really want to make sure you get that energy moving around in your system. And Brave Sagittarius invites us to do something a little bit different with our physical activity. So you could maybe try rock climbing, a new workout class, whatever it may be. Try something that's a little bit out of your comfort zone, that feels a little bit adventurous and might be a little bit scary. Another ritual, as Sagittarius does rule the hips and thighs, and this might make you a little bit uncomfortable, but if it does, good. Do a sensual kind of dance. So maybe learn to twerk, learn how to whine. I'll link a tutorial on how to whine. Do some kind of dance that loosens up that hip, that sacral chakra. Feminine energy moves in circles. So if you're finding yourself being very uncomfortable with even the idea of like twerking or whining or kind of being more sexual, that is the number 1 sign that you are experiencing a blockage in your sacral chakra, in the root of your sexuality. So this full moon, release some of that tension, and we store so many emotions in our hips. This full moon, do a type of dance that gets those hips moving and gets them a little bit more flexible and fluid. Sagittarius does not take itself too seriously, so do allow yourself to have fun this full moon. This is also a great full moon to make moon water and charge your crystals. I know that's a little woo, but as this is the first full moon after eclipse season where the energy was more chaotic, and I wouldn't recommend doing those things, this full moon, I'm giving you the okay to leave that water outside, charge your crystals, do whatever workings you need to do if that's your sort of thing. Another ritual for this full moon is to bring a new element into existing routines. So if you normally go to a coffee shop, maybe try another one, or maybe just order something different, maybe take a new walking route. Try to find ways to incorporate new little changes into pre-existing routines to help yourself find a bit of that sense of adventure. This is also, as most full moons are, a great night to go out. You might go to a party. I'm going to a graduation party. And for this full moon in Sagittarius, you might find yourself traveling all over the place. You might find yourself going to a few different locations. It might be that kind of night. And on that note, the final ritual for the Sagittarius full moon is to plan a road trip. Even if it's somewhere a day trip away, try to go out of your way and explore somewhere new that you've been meaning to try. Before we get to the journaling questions, I would like you to do this activity before you start your journaling, and this is going to be a fear journaling exercise. Grab your notebook and think about a new adventure that is calling to you. Think about something that you have always wanted to do, that you've always wanted to explore, and then I want you to think of what is stopping you from doing that thing. Write them all out, all of your limitations, all of your fears. Write everything that is stopping you from doing that thing. Spend a few minutes doing that, and then I want you to look at those fears and blockages and write how you can solve them, how you can frame them in a different way. Do they make you feel safe, for example, or maybe they make you feel unjudged? Whatever it is, write it all down, and then I want you to write as if all of those things came true. So what if the worst scenario happened? Is it really that bad, or are all those things something that you can deal with? And on that note, let's get into the journaling exercises. Some journaling questions for the full moon are: what will help you explore out of your comfort zones? How can you understand the higher meaning of events in your life? What are some of your life's greatest adventures? What can you learn from your adventures? How has fear prevented you from welcoming new journeys? How do you feel about experiences that don't go as planned? How can you reframe past pain and find a silver lining? And in what area can you take a leap of faith? Some themes around this full moon are going to be knowledge, leaps of faith, adventure, and where you might be limiting yourself out of fear. I hope you enjoyed this guide for the upcoming full moon in Sagittarius, and I hope it gave you some inspiration on some adventures, leaps of faith, and things that you can shed from yourself that are no longer serving you. I hope you have a wonderful full moon. Please subscribe, and thank you for watching. Bye.